everybody, this is going to be 8.1 part 2. Again, this is the second day for regulars, and if you're an honors student, you should be doing this the first day with part 1. So today we're going to be looking at solving for the side of a triangle. So last time we looked at solving for the angle. This is going to give us the sides, which then in part will also give us the ability to solve all triangles at that point. And sometimes you're just given 2 parts and it says, hey, technically 3 because of that right angle. And then it says, hey, find the missing parts. Okay. And that's what we're going to look at today, is find all the missing parts. But first, let's look at finding a missing side, because that's the piece we're missing. So the setup is exactly the same. Okay. There's no difference on the setup. So for this setup, I do want to go through. I want to find that angle I care about. I'm going to start in the corner, draw my line out. This is my opposite. This is going to be my hypotenuse, which means then that this side here, come on, Ben, is going to be my adjacent. Okay, so got all that. Yay. What do I do with this? Same thing. Okay, except this time I know the angle and I'm missing this side. Okay, so I need to figure out what 2 sides I care about. And the sides I care about, the sides I either know or the sides that have a variable. I know the hypotenuse here, it's 8. I don't know the adjacent, but I care about it because it has a variable. Okay, so adjacent and hypotenuse is going to be cosine. And remember, cosine of our angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. I do those in colors for people, actually. Sorry. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Check one thing, see if I can fix this. Oops, that's a little big. Sorry, give me 1 second. That's better. Okay. So I got adjacent over hypotenuse. That's my setup. Now I just need to plug stuff in. Okay. Now the big difference on these ones is I know the angle. My angle here is 30 degrees. Okay, and that degree is going to be important for us because that tells me what mode my calculator needs to go into. Okay, I don't know my adjacent. That's going to be x. I do know my hypotenuse. It's 8. Okay, so there we go. There's our setup. Now, again, the goal here is to get x by itself. So we're going to end up with 2 scenarios. The easier scenario is the one like that we have right now, where we have x in the numerator in that top part, okay? And we have a number in the bottom part. For these ones, remember, fractions are just division. Don't let fractions freak you out. They're just division. So to get rid of division, we multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 8. These 8s are going to cancel. I'm going to be left with 8 cosine of 30 degrees equals x. Okay, well, that's really nice. X is by itself already. I just need to put this in the calculator. Okay, so this, admittingly, is the easier scenario. We'll look at another scenario later, but it's not too much more. Okay, so for this, we're just going to do, first off, we're going to check our mode, make sure our mode's correct. Sorry. Okay, so check our mode, make sure our mode's correct. It's not because it resets on me. So make sure you're in degrees, otherwise it's going to give you the wrong answer. We're going to do 8 cosine, regular cosine this time because we're not trying to get rid of it, 30. Okay, now, unfortunately, on these ones, it's really hard to tell if you have the wrong answer if you're in radian. It's really easy with degrees because it would be between 0 and 1.5. If you never get a negative number, then you lucked out, and that's a good clue. But if it's a positive number, it's sometimes hard to tell if it's in the wrong mode. So just be careful with that. Okay, so I get about, and I'm going to do a couple extra decimal places here, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to do 6.928. 9, sorry. Okay, so x is about 6.928. Okay. And if that's all we were doing, yay, we're done. Okay. If we are looking for more parts of the triangle, which we'll do in a second, it is important that you know at least 2 or 3 decimal places because it's going to make rounding better for you later. Okay, so you make sure you don't get any rounding errors for big ideas. Okay, looking at this next one. So this one says solve the triangle ABC. That's what the math lingo up here says. What that means is I need all the parts. I need all 3 angles, and I need all 3 sides. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. I only have 2 parts. You actually have more than that. I have this side and this angle. I also have this angle. Okay, that's a 90-degree angle. So we already have 3 parts. It's already halfway done for us. Okay, so the next part is to figure out, okay, well, what about the other sides? So there's a couple different ways we can do this. I'm going to show you the way I prefer. And then I'm going to show you the other way you could do this. Okay, so again, we do need to go ahead and label up our triangle. Now, I recommend you find your angle, the other angle last. What that's going to do is it's going to alleviate any confusion on which angle you're using. I find commonly students who do the angle first, even though it's the easiest part, mess it up. Okay, so just be careful with that. Okay, so we need to decide what sides we care about. Well, I definitely care about the adjacent because I know that number. Unfortunately, I can't do both the other sides at the same time. I can't do the opposite and the hypotenuse at the same time. I got to do one and then the other. So doesn't really matter. I'm going to do the hypotenuse here first so I can show you the other case and how to deal with that. But again, you're going to get the same answer. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to deal with the adjacent and the hypotenuse first. Okay, well, adjacent to hypotenuse is cosine. So cosine of theta is equal to adjacent. Let me do the colors, sorry. Over hypotenuse. So we're going to plug in all those values. We're going to say the cosine of my angle 28 is equal to 15 over some number. Let's actually call it C so there's no confusion. Okay, so in this case, where my variable is in the denominator, okay, I have to do a little bit more work, but it's not too bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. Now to cross multiply, I need to have it over 1. Dividing by 1 doesn't change anything. So I'm going to cross multiply here. That's going to give me C times the cosine of 28 is equal to 15 times 1. I still need to get C by itself. So I need to divide both sides by the cosine of 28. Okay, now a common mistake I see here is students, when they see they go, oh, I can just divide by. Well, I need to be careful when I say divide by, because when I divide by, I deleted those. If I'm looking for the angle, I always want to use that inverse. If I'm looking for a side, I want to divide. Okay, but I'm dividing by the whole thing, not just cosine. You can never divide by just cosine. It has to be cosine of something. In this case, 28. Okay, let's put parentheses around those so we actually remember that. Good practice. So these will cancel. I'm going to be left with C equals 15, because anything times 1 is just that thing, over cosine of 28. Okay, so again, it's just one extra step. I have to do that cross multiply and then divide, but it's not too bad. Okay, it's just one extra step. So go into my calculator. It's going to do all the work for me. So 15 divided by cosine of 28. Okay, and I get 16.988 or 16.989. Okay, and I do want 3 decimal places, and you'll see why on this problem. So 16.989. Yeah. Okay, so 16.989. Okay, now at this point, we've got two choices on how to get that last side. I could do this again and use tangent, right? Opposite and adjacent. You always want to go back to the original number when you can, the given numbers, because it's going to give you a better answer. You always want to try to avoid using rounded numbers if you're using sine, cosine, and tangent, because again, a 0.1 difference can make a huge difference on our degrees. That being said, I could set that up. And this one isn't too bad, actually, because you're going to end up with your variable in the numerator. So you'll have tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. So tangent of 28 equals A over 15. Okay. Multiply both sides by 15. 15 tangent 28 equals A. Okay. And honestly, this is the way I prefer to do it. But some people do prefer the other way, and I will show you that way so you have it. I love when my calculator resets. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to need to check that mode again. Anytime you reset your calculator, not turn it on. It's just mine specifically resets every time. You do want to check and make sure you're in the right mode. And honestly, it's a good practice anyway. So I get about 7.976. Okay. Honestly, this is the way I prefer it. Some students really love Pythagorean theorem, though. So we could solve this using Pythagorean theorem, where we say 15 squared plus little a squared equals 16.989 squared. Okay. And you would end up with the same answer. I'm not going to solve this out because it's kind of gross. Okay. Again, I prefer this way, this first way, but you can use Pythagorean theorem to find the last side. Okay. Now, we're almost done, believe it or not. Okay. We got the two sides. Sides are the hardest, or most challenging, I should say. Angles are easy because once you know two angles, the thing to remember with triangles is the sides of the triangles always add up to 180. So what I can do is I can say 180 degrees minus the angle I know minus this 90-degree angle. 180 minus 90 minus 28, doesn't really matter which order you put them in. So my last one's going to be 62 degrees. Okay, so I've solved the whole triangle. I've got three sides. I erased the other one. I don't remember what it was on the calculator. 7.976. And then this other angle is 62 degrees. Okay, so that's solving the whole triangle. Figure out which sides you want to do first. And again, I would do the sides first. The reason you want to do the sides first, I know the angle's super easy. The reason you want to do the sides first is because then you're not confused on which angle you're using. Okay, again, do the sides first, then do the easy part at the end with the angle. Okay, look at one more of these. Let's do a word problem. So you're hiking near a canyon, standing at A. You measure out an angle between A and B of 90 degrees and C as shown. Then you walk to B. You measure the angle 76. Between A and C is a distance about 2 miles. How wide is the canyon between A and C? So the side I care about here is going to be this side over here. Actually, let me not do that in a color. Let's figure out. Let's label this triangle first. Better way to do this. Sorry. Angle I care about. Let's draw my line. This is going to be my opposite. Okay, so this is the side I care about. Let's put an X there. This is going to be my hypotenuse. And then this is going to be my adjacent. Okay, so the two sides I care about, opposite and adjacent. I'm looking for this opposite side. So we're going to do tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. Tangent of 76 is equal to x over 2. Give me 1 second, sorry. Did you get your transfer done? I think that was your message. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we're gonna move that 2 over. So times 2, times 2. 2's will cancel. So I'm gonna be left with 2. Tangent of 76 degrees equals x. Coming over to my calculator, 2. Oh, don't do it. Again, check my mode. So 2, tangent of 76. Okay, so I get about 8.02 miles. Okay, and I do want to include miles here because I do have a context for my problem. Okay, if you're good with solving the triangle and finding sides and stuff like that, you can go and stop the video now. If you want to see one more, keep watching. I'll go quick on this next one. Okay, so let's solve this first triangle up here. Let's get rid of this stuff down here. Okay, so we're going to solve this triangle. We're going to use that same process. And we're not going to just find x. We're going to solve the whole triangle. So again, this is where some students struggle with solving the whole triangle. Solve the triangle. Okay, so solving the triangle, again, we want to find all the sides. We'll call this y. And then we want to find all the angles. Again, I would wait to do the angles till the end. Okay, do the sides first. Okay, so labeling my triangle out. This is going to be my opposite. This is going to be my hypotenuse. And this is going to be my adjacent. Okay. So let's start out by finding x. So the two sides I care about are going to be the hypotenuse and the adjacent. That's going to be cosine of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Plugging in what I know. Cosine of 45 is equal to x over 6. Okay, we got the one where it's on the bottom. That's nice. Or in the denominator. That's nice. So we got 6 cosine of 45 is equal to x. Plug that into my calculator. So 6 cosine of 45, 4.243. Okay. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of you, this is a 45-45 triangle. Okay, so those two sides are going to be the same. But let's solve it out for those people who don't see that. Okay. So again, we're going to do opposite and hypotenuse. So that's going to be sine. So sine of theta is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Same thing. Sine of 45 is equal to opposite, which we don't know, hypotenuse, which is 6. Again, a nice one where it's nice on top. So 6 sine of 45 is equal to y. And if I plug that in, I am going to get the same thing. So 4.243. Okay. And then for that last angle, again, we're just going to do 180 minus 45 that we know, minus 90 that we know, 45 here, 90 here, to get that last angle of 45 degrees. Okay, so that's it. Again, if you're getting stuck, let me know. I'm available during those RTI times. And for my online students, it's the office hours on B days during 7th period. Please make sure you're asking for help if you need it. And I will see you guys next time.